Good morning, everyone. So we are presenting modern algebra and number theory. Modern algebra. It is called abstract algebra, branch of mathematics concerned with the general algebraic structure of various sets such as real numbers, complex numbers, matrices, and vector spaces rather than rules and procedures for manipulating their individual elements. The term abstract algebra was coined in the 20th century to distinguish this area of study from older parts of algebra. The end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century saw a shift in the methodology of mathematics. Abstract algebra emerged around the start of the 20th century under the name modern algebra. Its study was part of the drive for more intellectual rigor in mathematics. Mathematics of Modern Algebra, Amalie Emmy Noether, was a German mathematician who made many important contributions to abstract algebra. She proved two theorems that were basic for both general relativity and elementary particle physics. One is still known as Noether's theorem. Noether's theorem is the statement that for every continuous symmetry in physical system, there exists a conservation law. A symmetry of a physical system in the context of Noether's theorem means a transformation to the system that leaves its equation of motion unchanged. And Francis Viet, he was a French mathematician who is often regarded as one of the founders of modern algebra. He contributed a great deal to all facets of the mathematics of his day, including algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. His most eminent contribution, the modern algebraic notations, or logistica speciosa. So, this concept represents a significant advancement in the field of mathematics, particularly in how algebraic expression and equations are formulated and manipulated. Viet's Logistica Speciosa distinguishes itself from traditional arithmetic by focusing on symbolic representation rather than numerical values. And next is Bartel Lindert. So Bartel Warden was a Dutch mathematician best known for his two-volume work titled Modern Algebra, published in 1930. The book was one of the first textbooks to use an abstract axiomatic approach to groups, rings, and fields, and was by far the most successful, becoming the standard reference for graduate algebra for several decades. It had a tremendous impact and is widely considered to be the major text on algebra in the 20th century.
So let's proceed to the number theory. Number theory is a branch of pure mathematics devoted primarily to the study of the integers and integer-valued functions. German mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss said mathematics is the queen of the sciences and number theory is the queen of mathematics. So number theories study prime numbers as well as the properties of mathematical objects made out of integers. For example, is rational numbers are defined as generalizations of the integers. The older term of number theory is arithmetic, which is by the early 20th century, it had been superseded by number theory. So Let's move to the mathematicians of the number theory. First is Pierre de Fermat. He was a French mathematician active in the 17th century and often regarded as one of the founders of modern number theory. One of the Fermat's most significant contributions is the Fermat's Little theorem. This theorem provides a powerful tool for determining properties of numbers and has implications in various areas such as cryptography and primarily testing. It essentially established a relationship between prime numbers and modular arithmetic. Next is Louis Lagrange. He was an Italian mathematician and astronomer, later naturalized as French. Made significant contribution to the fields of analysis, number theory, and both classical and celestial mechanics. One of his most notable contributions to number theory is his proof of the four-square theorem. This theorem states that every natural numbers can be expressed as the sum of four integer squares. This theorem was first conjectured by Pierre de Fermat and proved by Lagrange in 1770. He was the first to give full proofs of some of Fermat's and Euler's work and observations. Next is Johann Carl Friedrich Gauss. He was a German mathematician often referred to as the Prince of Mathematicians, due to his profound contributions across various fields, particularly number theory. And one of his most significant contributions is his seminal work Disquisitiones Arithmeticae, which is published in 1801. The Disquisitiones Arithmeticae is often regarded as one of the first textbooks on algebraic number theory due to its comprehensive treatment of integers and their properties. It established foundational principles such as unique factorization or the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, which states that every composite number can be expressed uniquely as a product of the numbers.
The most common question I receive when teaching struggling math students is who invented algebra and why did they even bother? Well, the word algebra comes from the Arabic word al-jabr, which means the reunion of broken parts, and can be traced back to a text produced by the renowned Arabic mathematician and scientist Al-Khwarizmi. However, the history of algebra is far more complex, with contributions from practically all major civilizations through history. The ancient Mesopotamians and Egyptians were some of the first to use algebraic concepts such as letters to represent unknown quantities. The Mesopotamians used tables on clay tablets to aid calculations. For example, 2 tablets found in Saqqara dated to around 2000 BC give square numbers up to 59. Using the formula presented, they were able to simplify multiplication. And in ancient Egypt, we see the Moscow and Rhine papyri, which contain examples of how they employed algebra to solve problems. These are called Ahar problems, which involve finding unknown quantities and are often expressed as simple linear equations. The Egyptians also used quadratic equations as seen in the Berlin papyri. The ancient Greeks who followed the Mesopotamians and Egyptians also made significant contributions to the development of algebra. The most notable of these contributions come from 2 mathematicians, Euclid and Diophantus, and their instrumental text, the Elements and Arithmetica. Euclid employed the use of what we now call geometric algebra. This involves using geometry to demonstrate mathematical concepts such as the distributive property, which can be shown by splitting a rectangle into separate chunks. Unlike typical Greek mathematicians who used geometric methods, Diophantus solved equations using algebraic quantities. He presented this in a series of writings called the Arithmetica, and presents what is the first known use of algebraic notation and symbolism in what we refer to as syncopated algebra. Moving away from Mediterranean civilizations, we see significant developments and uses of algebra in ancient Indian civilizations. The Bakshali manuscript contained worked examples for calculating the square roots or solving linear equations. Let's draw focus to 2 particular Indian mathematicians, Brahmagupta and Bhaskara. Brahmagupta is an immensely influential mathematician who developed the rules for computing with zero, as well as algebraic contributions in the Brahmasputta Siddhanta. Here he presented general solutions to linear equations and also proceeded to give the general solution for a quadratic equation, something we can recognize as very similar to the quadratic formula. And Bhaskara produced a work of algebra across 12 chapters, the Bijanganita, or the Algebra of the Hindus. It contained many methods to solve and process algebraic problems and presents the Chakravarla method. This is seen in an 8-line Sanskrit poem and is a cyclic algorithm to solve indeterminate quadratic equations. And now moving even further east to the Chinese civilizations, we have seen many major developments. These are typically presented in an anonymous collective of results, the most influential of which is the 9 chapters on the mathematical art. Compiled by Liu Hui, it presented advanced concepts such as Gaussian elimination over 1500 years before Gauss, and other techniques such as Horner's method. So we just have one more civilization to cover. It's where the book Al-Jabr originated. It's the Arabian civilization. This was written by the Persian mathematician Al-Khwarizmi, who is often cited as the father of algebra. It is the first text to teach algebra in an elementary form for its own sake. The book gives a systematic approach to solve linear and quadratic equations by reduction and then completion or balancing methods. The first step is to identify which of the 6 forms the equation can be written as. This is the reduction step. Next, there is a series of completion or balancing steps to remove extraneous terms. Once an equation is in one of the 6 forms, you can follow methods in the book to solve this for the value of the unknown x. The book was extremely influential as it was translated and spread widely, being used as a primary text in European universities for centuries. And this probably contributed to the status of Al-Khwarizmi as the father of algebra. But we can see that these concepts were very similar to those shared by other mathematicians such as Diophantus or Brahmagupta. And it just points to the fact that algebra is not a field that was the result of the discovery of one person through history. It was the summation of contributions through time by many mathematicians across many civilizations. Summaries in history often overlook these contributions, and this extends across mathematics in general. Click the link to find out about some of the mathematicians history underappreciates. Or perhaps you're interested in the history of computer science. Subscribe for more content, and thanks for watching.
So that concludes our report about modern algebra and number theory. Thank you.